So as Purnima said, thank you. My name is Brahim. I'm a lead product manager for monetization, search, and discovery on the Play Store. So I had a lot of thoughts also about your questions earlier in the morning, so maybe we'll get to talk about them later. But yeah, so today I'm going to talk to you about making money on Google Play. Monetization on Google Play is something that's obviously top of mind for developers and that I have been personally working on for the past 3 years of my life. And so it's a very exciting topic for me. All right, so what we're going to try to do today is give you some insights, data-driven insights. So we'll share some numbers that will hopefully help you make decisions as you run your businesses, as you build your apps, as you grow your businesses globally, hopefully, as you'll see the theme of the presentation, will hopefully give you some data that can help you make decisions. So that's the point of the presentation. So I just have to reiterate this point. I know Michael presented it and a few other people referred to it, but having been here for 3 years and seeing how far we've come in monetization, it's incredibly exciting for me and the rest of the team. The fact that we've paid out $5 billion to developers over the last 12 months is amazing. And the more amazing thing is that we all feel like we're just getting started. That the opportunity, that the ceiling is actually much higher, if at all. And so super excited about this. We could not have done it without all of your work. And we're super, super excited about what's gonna happen next, and the announcement we'll make next year at Playtime London. Hopefully, if we get good feedback on this one. The after lunch crowd is always difficult, so I get it. I'm just, but this is what I got. So, okay. So the way we think about monetization is there are different roles, and in a way, whatever happens within your app, whatever happens in terms of your pricing, is really up to you. And there's one point where a user decides to up their experience with you. They want to go into a premium state of interacting with your app. And they press that buy button. Or maybe it'll say the price, the way you build it. And so as the user presses that buy button, that interaction jumps over to play. And our goal, and what we do on a daily basis, is to make sure that we convert as many of those clicks as we can, wherever the user is, no matter what the amount they're trying to buy, no matter what app they came from. So we're trying to build tools for you to convert those users, right? And I know my wife has a small business, and we go, and on weekends I go to try and help her sell pillows. She designs and builds pillows. And it is so hard to get someone to hand over their cash to you. To actually pull out their wallet and give you their money is incredibly hard. And so when someone presses a button in your app to actually make a purchase, it's a huge step. And so we want to make sure we convert as many of those users as possible. So the rest of the presentation will kind of keep this in mind, like things that we're doing and things that you can do. This is kind of how we'll get through the rest of the talk. Stepping back a bit and talking about how does a developer or an entrepreneur more generally build a business. You generally have an insight that's driven based on your experience, based on what you know best, the language you speak, the market and need that you're particularly familiar with. And so you start a business. It's based probably somewhere, in your case, maybe in Europe or the Middle East and North Africa. And then from there, you're going to look for another market. You're going to look for a market that's somewhat similar, maybe another Western country, maybe a market that has similar usage patterns. And then from there, you're going to go to another market that maybe is even more different than yours. And all of a sudden, the amazing thing is, all of a sudden, you're a global developer. You're running a global business. And in the past, this used to be like a monumental event. This used to be like, when GM started getting most of their sales from outside the US. It was like, management changes and things, the way the company does things just change. And today it happens so quickly that a lot of developers actually don't change their mindset as they become global developers. And so what I want to talk to you about next is how do you actually change your mindset? What are things you can do as you transition from being a primarily local market developer to becoming a global developer? And so we'll share some data to hopefully help you, again, make those decisions. But this shift in mindset is important. And it's actually in digital, it's happening obviously much faster. It's a lot more seamless because you have these platforms such as Google Play that immediately have buyers in 130 markets. And so because it's so seamless, a lot of times you actually don't shift the way you think about your business because it just happens without you knowing. And all of a sudden you have buyers in 50 markets, right? Or you have even users in even more markets. And so that's something that I would love to highlight, and I'll talk about more next. So obviously, we believe that Google Play is an incredibly good platform for you to expand your businesses globally. And what's exciting to us is when we look at US developers that earn most of their income from abroad, those developers are earning 2.5x what their equivalents who aren't are, right? So if you're taking that jump, and this is the majority of your sales, this isn't about, I have like, 1 or 2 or 10% or 20% of my income coming from other markets. This is the majority of your sales are coming from abroad. When that happens, when you kind of jump over that virtual fence, you're earning actually a lot more. And the point here, as you could imagine, is that you should all try that. You should all do it because it's profitable. And what's cool is that over the past year, we've seen 38% growth in developers who are doing just that. They are taking advantage of the global audience. They're taking advantage of buyers that we have in 130 markets. And the data that we'll go through next will hopefully show you one is how and what are we doing to make sure you're successful. But this point about developers that are earning most of their income from abroad are earning significantly more. And we'd love for you, hopefully with the help of some of the data we'll share, to actually kind of intentionally focus on that. So what have we been up to? So obviously you may know this, but free apps are distributed in 190 plus countries. We have buyers in 130 plus markets. And in 65 markets now, you can custom tailor your pricing, which we will talk about later is actually an important aspect of you being present in that market. Tailoring your pricing to a local market is important. So that's step one. We're a global platform. I think everybody understands that. Next is, interestingly, something that we've learned over the past few years is that as you go out there and try to build a global payments platform, you actually have to think very locally. There's no silver bullet. There's no payment method that works everywhere. There's no easy way to do this. You just have to go into each market. You have to understand that market, the behavior, the purchase experience, what people are most familiar with, and then you have to build a product that works there. And so in the US, as you'd imagine, credit cards are very popular. That is the primary way that people want to buy. In Japan, carrier billing is extremely popular. And so these are two incredibly important markets for us that behave in completely different ways when it comes to payments. And so again, as we had to go in and start thinking very locally, and this kind of replicates to every other market almost, right? Like every other country actually is this way. There's a distinction in behavior. So what do we do? So one of the things we've done over the past couple of years, so 2 years ago we launched a Google Play gift card in the US only. Today it is in 18 markets. And I think as of maybe this morning it's in the 19th market. So we've been very aggressively rolling out the Google Play gift card. It's been very successful for us because one, it unlocks new segments of users that just don't have access to credit cards or other kind of more fluid forms of payment. And two, it gets the brand out there and it gets users. This is in the physical world. This is in retailers. This is in tens of thousands of locations that we now have the Google Play brand known. And your users, as they see that while they are in their usual day-to-day habits, they're seeing the Google Play gift card. The other one is the direct carrier billing, which has been very successful for us. And it is now in 25 markets, as Michael highlighted earlier. And finally, PayPal, which we launched more recently. It's been very successful for us as well. It's now in 12 markets and rolling out to more shortly. So again, these are current stats. They're changing constantly. But the objective is, as a user comes in from any of your countries, any users that you have in any markets, as they come in, the objective is that they'll find an option on their purchase experience that is familiar to them, that they want to use. We want to reduce that hurdle. So this is a major kind of part of what I do and what the entire team at Google Play does. And I'll give you a bit of a case study about the launch of the Google Play gift card in Germany. And this will give you some insight about our kind of overall strategy for payments. Okay. So as we launched the Google Play gift card, over the past year, we had a 70% increase in buyers. This is tremendous. This is like step change type stuff. And if you look at a lot of you are potentially developers already selling in Germany, you would have seen that impact. And so the launch of a form of payment that is convenient to a market, that is familiar to users in a market, has a significant impact. So The interesting thing is, what did this do to the rest of the purchase flow conversion rate? Actually, it increased our purchase flow conversion rate by 25%. Right? So more of those clicks that are coming from your apps are converting. To be clear, 25% more. And that's huge. That is incredibly significant for all of you who are actually closing more of those sales and completing those sales. And finally, what this overall, because at the end of the day, we care about overall sales in the country. And that actually had a 3x impact on sales. So over the last year, sales in Germany have grown by 3x. And while this is tied to a number of things, including growth on Android, including the availability of preferred methods, and the increase in the conversion rate, this is a trend that we want to see more and more markets in. We activate the buyers, we launch good forms of payment, and then we see an increase in revenue like this. This is a success story that we want to replicate in many, many more countries. For example, we launched carrier billing and gift cards in Hong Kong. And in that country, we had an 80% growth in buyers. In Russia, we launched carrier billing, and we had 100% growth in number of buyers. So again, we're hoping that this will be replicated in every market, and we're working very hard to make sure that we do. Shifting a bit to the purchase experience is not only about the forms of payment available, but also where they are available. And this was what I always thought of this as a gap, where on tablets, carrier billing was not available. And just maybe I'll step back and say, carrier billing is when you're able to buy something and put it on your operator bill, your monthly operator bill. And it was not available in tablets because you could imagine the setup experience requires you to be on the phone that you're going to build the stuff to. But we've built new technology over the past couple of years that allowed us to actually now run carrier billing from Wi-Fi tablets. And so if you're a user that primarily uses carrier billing and you're on your phone, when you went to the tablet before, you actually couldn't make a purchase. You didn't have an available form of payment. Today they can, and that's had a significant impact on monetization on that device segment. So that's been really exciting. Another thing that we have learned is that locally developed content is extremely important. It kind of triggers the entire ecosystem. And we've worked really hard over the past year to enable developers in more and more countries to be able to sell on Google Play. And this may not impact all of you, because if you're here, you're probably already a successful developer. Maybe it does. I know I've talked to someone from Bulgaria. But essentially, we've launched 22 new markets. We're at 54 markets today. And our objective, this is something that we really care about at the mission level. We want to make sure that anyone that can build an awesome Android application, no matter where they are, they can earn a living on Google Play. It's that simple. Anyone, anywhere should be able to earn a living on Google Play. And so we're at 54 countries. We're going to continue to launch more and more of these markets over the next few months. All right, so what can you do to make sure that you're taking advantage of this global platform? This is kind of hopefully the actionable part for you. First of all is localizing your listings. This is incredibly important. Now, of course, you can't localize to every language. But if you're intentionally selling in a market, if you're intentionally acquiring users through ads in a market, if you want to grow your business in a market, you have to actually speak that country's language. It is an absolute, just basic thing that many developers don't actually do, unfortunately. And the developer console offers all sorts of tools to make this really accessible for developers. So whether you're using professional translation tools or you're actually using the developer console one, which gets routed to professionals, that is really important. And the data we're seeing is that apps that are localized, that have localized listings, are earning 6x more than those that aren't. So it's very actionable. If you are, of course, you can't translate to every country, every language, but if you are intentionally in a market, you got to speak their language. The other part is localizing your pricing. And this is, again, one of those things, this is one of those simple things that the local developers do that the foreign ones don't. And this is one of those things that end up impacting sales. And then you launch in a market, you're like, I don't know, I can't crack this market for some reason. But it's because of little things like this, where we have this incredibly convenient auto-convert function that a lot of developers go in, they set their default price, auto-convert, And then actually you don't go through all the prices and make sure they are just rounded off. They are whatever that 99-cent equivalent is. We all know, the 99-cent price in the US has been like for decades, like a price point that we know is like, okay, below which it's a trivial purchase or it's a significant purchase, whatever it is you're targeting. But there are equivalents of those prices in each market. So again, 101 yen is not one of those. It's 100 yen. And as you come through that purchase flow, and if you've all probably optimized your flows, every little detail impacts your conversion rate. And what we've seen here is that apps and SKUs with prices that are kind of local, precise local pricing actually convert and have 2x the sales of those that aren't. So this is, again, a very actionable thing. Just go through your pricing and literally make sure it's rounded off. And in some cases, you actually have to change it significantly because spending patterns in different markets are different, obviously. So this is not a small thing. The other thing is localizing your business model. It is actually important that based on your category of app, as well as what market you're targeting, the intersection of those two things might mean you have a different business model in different countries. There are countries where ads is the primary way of monetizing. There are others where in-app is the way to go. For some app categories, it is subscriptions. Others are obviously paid apps or in-app. So again, and this is one of those you have to take care of at the beginning. As you build your app, as you build your feature set, if it's a subscription, there has to be ongoing value for the user. There has to be recurring value. If you are doing an in-app, then you have to have some incremental kind of discrete steps that the user can purchase. So again, as you think through, think about localizing your business models as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit more about subscriptions. We've been investing in subscriptions quite a bit. We've seen it be very successful for apps in a number of categories. And so, and growth since launch has been tremendous. And so we've actually been investing quite a bit in it. As of a couple of days ago, we launched a number of new features for subscriptions, including seasonal subscriptions, goodwill credits, where basically you can, if somebody is really not happy, you can give them an extra month for free via an API, and also an API for you to refund and revoke subscription access. The last upgrades, downgrades are going to launch in the next few weeks. So what we're trying to do is build a full-fledged subscriptions platform that is accessible via APIs, that offers you, we take care of all the billing, we take care of all the details of like, it's auto-renewing, and if it is something that works for your app, if you think that you have recurring value for users over time, then it's something to consider. And we've seen apps that have been successful in all sorts of categories, from education to gaming, to the traditional kind of like music and Evernote type apps, use subscriptions and be very successful in monetizing. So again, think of subscriptions. It is a fast growing segment for us. This was brought up earlier as well, which is this kind of focus on quality. And I wanted to reiterate the point about those multipliers are incredible, right? I mean, if you are moving 1 star up from the 3-star range to the 4-star range, you're actually multiplying your sales by 4. And so as you think about investing in QA, investing in replying to reviews, investing in building the right product, this stuff matters and has a direct impact on your sales. So as you're business owners, you need to do the math and figure out if it adds up for you or not. But this is hopefully a metric that can help you make that decision. Is it worth it for you? And I think the point we're trying to make is that it very much is worth it. Okay, so this is, again, along the lines of quality, but it's about other form factors, right? And then Android, over the last couple of months, we've launched a number of new form factors, a number of new ecosystems. And the point here is that if you're going to distribute in a particular form factor, whether it's auto or wear or tablets or TV, you have to, again, be intentional about it. You have to actually build an experience that fits that form factor. And as part of that, we're seeing that apps that are tablet optimized are actually monetizing 10 times better than those that aren't. Like, this stuff, again, matters. And your business owners, you're looking to spend your resources wisely. So again, if you're going to spin off a team to build a tablet optimized app, this is the multiplier you need to think of as you look at your increasing costs versus the potential increase in reward and sales. And I think as these new ecosystems proliferate and as new form factors emerge, be intentional about it, and that would help with your sales, as you can see here. Okay, so in closing and in summary, three points to really take away. One is think beyond your familiar markets. Really just do that. I know many of you do, but there is this mental shift that used to happen in physical world corporations where like they go global. And I think now it happens so fast and it's so seamless that a lot of app developers don't actually think about it and actually shift their behavior accordingly. So whether it is localizing your listings, localizing your pricing, etc., like be intentional about these things. And that's the second point which I just covered. And finally, focus on quality and other form factors. Make sure that if you are actually going to distribute your app for tablets, make sure it is a great experience. Make sure you build something tailored for it. And users will react well, and users will increase their spend in your app because of that. That's all I have for you. Thank you very much.